Alright, I see you've hopped on board the train today. Today we'll be talking about the route code and train ID. So we've covered how a train moves forward. There's a handle known as the motoring drum handle, the MDH, that moves the train forward. It accelerates the train or decelerates the train. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check episode 10, Propulsion and Braking. Okay, then on episode 11, we talked about call loops. This is what actually allows the trains to proceed down the alignment. Well, basically what we've covered is the braking and acceleration, so your gas pedal and brake pedal. Well, in this episode we are going to cover the steering wheel of a MAX car. Basically, how do you get from one point to another on the alignment? Sure, we've talked about combination signals and complex ABS signals before, but how do you get them to display the proper aspect? Well, it's all mind control. Now, obviously, I'm just kidding. We're going to dive into it. Here's how. Now, I've showed this picture before. This is an actual picture of a Type 2 car, I believe, and this is known as the VTAG system, the vehicle tagging system. Now, last time we talked about the call button, and the other ones you really just need to ignore for now. It just has to deal with yards and canceling the control and canceling the input. Well, I kind of briefly touched on the thumb wheels over on the left. There's two of them. One of them is labeled as route, and the other one is labeled as train. So let's start with the route thumb wheel. Now, I've gone ahead and drawn this on my whiteboard, and basically the route, it's a thumb wheel. So if you think of those old combination locks where you would flick the number from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's what these are. There's two of these, and you can set the number. Any number from 00 to 99. So this is how it works. You set the number for where you want to go, anywhere on the alignment that is set up through power switches. You can get absolutely anywhere with this route code. So this is the train steering wheel. This is how you get from one place to another. So you, at the beginning of your day or however, whatever shift you work, your route code, you will set the route code for your end destination. Doesn't matter where it is. It could be a terminus station on any of the lines, so Hillsboro, Clackamas, Expo Center. It could be a number of those, but it can also be every pocket track or siding track, or getting yourself into the yards and it's used within the yards. Every single possible destination in the entire system is programmed into the route codes. As long as you can get there from power switches, you can get anywhere on the system. So it does not matter. You could have your sign, your electronic reader board signs displaying Gresham, but if there's a certain service project going on or something, and trains were actually ending at Hollywood Transit Center or something, and you needed to use the pocket track after Hollywood Transit Center, which I have a picture of, what you would do is, well, there's a couple ways you could do it, but if you wanted to park the trains in Hollywood Transit Center's pocket track, then you would set your route code to Hollywood Transit Center pocket track, and even though your signs all say Gresham, that's where you will be ending. So the announcements and reader board stuff is entirely separate from the route code. The route code is where the end goal is. Wherever you want to go, the route code will get you there. This is how an out-of-service train can get anywhere on the system. He will sign up his train as not in service, but depending on where he wants to go, he'll just set the route code for wherever, and you can end up there. So if I were going to be taking a train from El Monica to Ruby Junction or something, just as like a test run, whatever you wanted to do, then you would leave your signs on not in service and you would set the route code to Ruby Junction. That way you can leave your train out of service and it will still take you there. The announcements and electronic signage is an entirely separate system from the route code. Alright, let's say I'm a red line driver. So I get to my train at Beaverton Transit Center and I key it in and I am ready to go. Okay, I've set my announcements and reader boards, which we'll get into that stuff later. Now, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not even going to, the signals will not change for me unless I set the route code to the proper number. Now, I don't know what the actual route code is for Portland Airport, but let's just say it's 25. So I will set the thumb wheels to 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll set the number to say 25. And that way, it will show up in a way that will do that. Let's say this was the code that got me to PDX. So, doesn't matter what I do, every time I call a signal, which watch the last episode for calling signals, episode 11 for call loops. Every time you call a signal, the communication between, well, the whole network from your train to all the signals and all that equipment will set your switches and the route to display the correct route. So as long as you have the correct route code in, your signals will be correct, or they should be, but you still have to pay attention and make sure that the signals are displaying correctly. So when you arrive at Gateway, the trains split in 3 directions, off to Gresham, Clackamas, or airport. Obviously we want to go to the airport, and at Gateway this just so happens to be the secondary route. But if you're looking at your signal and it's not showing the secondary route, well, something's wrong and you've got to check your thumb wheel. So you still have to make sure that you're going the right way. That way you don't end up in Clackamas by mistake. But assuming everything worked and everything is fine, it will take you to the Portland Airport. You'll arrive in one of the 2 tracks. The route code and all the communication network automatically will decide whether or not you're going to take track 1 or track 2 at PDX, and also some other areas. So now I'm at PDX. Now I gotta head back to Beaverton Transit Center, right? So what happens is I'll set my thumb wheels to the route that would take me back there. Again, this is just a guess. Let's say it's number 28. So I set the thumb wheel to 28, and now again, every time I press the call button in my cab, the signals and switches will align in my favor to get me to Beaverton Transit Center. Regardless, I may have forgotten to change the signs back to Beaverton Transit Center, or I might just be in training. I might be just in training, or I might be training somebody else, or whatever. It doesn't matter. If the goal is for your train to get to the Beaverton Transit Center pocket track, your route code will always be 28, or whatever it may be. Now, I haven't had really any luck finding an up-to-date or really any list of route codes and where they all take you to. So it'd be interesting to have an up-to-date list of all the route codes, where they're going, because my nerdy brain just works that way. So now let's talk about the other set of thumb wheels, the train ID. This is what identifies your train. Pretty much self-explanatory. So as a driver, your train has a number. It's a 2-digit number, anything from 01 to 99. So as an operator, your train will be a certain number, any one of those. So if control wants to contact you, or if you want to contact control, basically if something goes wrong or if your signal isn't clearing or whatever, they will start, or you will start, by stating your train number. So if I'm train 11, I'll say train 11. And they'll respond back with train 11, and then I'll tell them what's going on. So, and that way they know exactly where you are, what train you are, and that it's not like, oh, this train 11 is somewhere in the system. Now that you've said your train number, they know exactly where you are, what train you're on, and all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to know what train number your driver is driving, after you get off of your train, or if the train is pulling in, look in the windows in the corner, the lower corners of the window, and you'll see the 2-digit numbers. In the type 1s, 2s, and 3s, it's a mechanical display screen that will flip as you're using the thumb wheels. So you'll change the thumb wheels and it will change the display numbers in front. On the type 4s and 5s, it's an electronic number that can display in the corners. If you're not out on the rails and if you want to know something about your train instead, if you go into the PDX bus app and you find a train on here, let's just go to Beaverton Transit Center. Okay, and these are all the arrivals right now at Beaverton Transit Center, right? Now, if I click on one of these, let's just do this blue line to Hillsboro in 6 minutes. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you get, oh wow, we're getting some serious crazy action here. Anyway, you scroll down to the very bottom, right? And you see where this says trip ID 9006? That's your train number. It's 06. The 90 part, it always has that. So every train on this app, every MAX, it will begin with 90. The 2-digit number that immediately follows that is the train number. So that is train 6. I will now move out of the way, and we are going to put a list right here of what all the train numbers are. Now, a lot of this is outdated information, and so some of it is guesswork, but you can check it for yourself on the app. The green line portion is the part that I'm most confused with. I will put a link in the description to the MaxFacts article on where I got the train numbers from, because it was a little bit different, because the green and yellow lines used to share the same train numbers. But if I checked the app earlier and realized that the green line is now using numbers in the 80s. And you saw on there was the old mall shuttle train. What is that? Well, it was this old train that used to, not old, it was an old system from 2009 to 2011. And it was just a single car train that would just loop 5th and 6th Avenues from Union Station to PSU. It would just do that every weekday, and it was just one train, and it was number 89. And all the 90s series are all used for testing purposes only and for burn-in. So when trains first get delivered, when they get new ones, then they'll use train numbers from 90 to 99. Well, I believe that covers it all for now. I do have one sort of bonus video on route codes that's going to be coming up shortly. And it would be trying to fool the system and putting in the wrong route code, or what would happen if you put in impossible route codes in, or whatever. We'll get into that next time. For now, I think that is gonna be it.